And for sure, make sure your children know this isn't their fault. Hello, my name is John Hunsberger. I'm your pastor of marriage and parenting here at Lifegate Church. I'm really excited to start doing this series. Many of you were able to come to our parenting conference with Dr. Emerson Eggerichs. Some of you may be checking this out and weren't there, but regardless, I'm going to try to answer some of the questions that were put to Dr. Emerson that we didn't have time to get to. So, the very first question, and it came from a number of different people and asked in a number of different ways, was, should I fight in front of my kids? Is it okay to fight in front of the kids? What are the rules to fighting in front of the kids? And so I'm going to answer that question for you guys. And I know that it's something that Dr. Emerson and I were discussing as well, and so I'm pretty confident I can give you an answer that is accurate, but also that would be conveyed to you from Love and Respect author Dr. Emerson Eggerichs. So first of all, you probably are going to argue with your spouse, but asking, is it okay to fight? The answer, of course, is no. We don't fight with each other. However, we're bound to have disagreements. We're bound to have misunderstandings. We're bound to get our feelings hurt. And so what is our response like? And I think it's really important that you understand that you're modeling for your children all the time. And so should you go and hide in secret and have that conversation? Well, some people would say, yeah, absolutely. Some people would say, no, it's important that you're in front of them. I'll submit to you that it's very important when you're modeling to your kids that you don't just model perfection. Now, if any of you are perfect, then fantastic, model that, and hopefully they can follow in your steps. But one of the really great thing and important things for us is how to model when we're not perfect. Because guess what? Your children aren't perfect either. And so when they have an idea in their mind, we have this saying around Lifegate that's very true, that the children are great receptors, but they're often poor interpreters. And so they can pick up that something is going on, but they may not necessarily understand what exactly is going on or what that means about them. Remember, children are very self-focused. They're concentrated on my beliefs, my feelings, my desires, my expectations, and they blame themselves for many things that have nothing to do with them. And so when they see you're fighting, it's very common for children to think they're fighting because of me. It's something I did, it's my fault. And we want to be able to assure our children, no, this doesn't always have to do anything with you. And so we need to communicate that directly to them. Also, we want to model in a way that when we make a mistake or when we have an argument or a disagreement, this is how it should be done. This is the proper way to do it. And part of that is to apologize when we don't do it right. Hey, mom and dad shouldn't have been talking like that to each other. We definitely don't want you talking like that to your brother or sister or friends. It's not an okay way to talk. And so we've apologized, and now we want to apologize for doing that in front of you. However, you can disagree in front of your children. I think it's okay. But here's some rules to keep in mind. First of all, you need to pick a time that's going to be fight by mutual consent, all right? So I'm going to use the word fight because that was the word in the question, but really we want to communicate by mutual consent. When is the best time to have this conversation? If it needs to happen now, for whatever reason, you're going to leave for a week, the decision has to be made in a certain time period, maybe it's a money issue and needs to be talked about right then. That may trump when it's most convenient for us. You know, like I'm hungry, so it's not a good time. I'm tired, it's not a good time. You know, really this could be better talked about at a different time. But if you guys can agree on a time, that's the best. Also, stick to the subject, right? Let's talk about what needs to be talked about. And we don't have to bring in all our fears or all our unmet expectations from previous conversations. Let's stick to the present, so let's also stick to the topic. One thing at a time. It's best not to use any kind of, be respectful and loving. Don't use names, no name calling, no personal violence for sure. Pushing, hitting absolutely is out. None of those things are okay and need to be dealt with probably in a different talk. But those are boundary issues. It's also not okay to hit below the belt. If you guys know each other really well, you probably know what's gonna upset the other person. And when you're angry or hurt, your limbic system that fight, flight, or freeze mechanism tends to take over from your higher reasoning, your prefrontal cortex, which is, I love this person, I want to work through this, I'm going to use self-control and willpower. And when that takes over, you know exactly how to hurt your partner, and so sometimes we do that. Don't do that. And if you do any of these things that we've talked about not doing, you need to apologize and model apology again to your children. Finally, let's use words like I statements. Hey, I feel this, I want this, I see it beneficial to us for this reason, instead of telling your partner what he or she may think or feel. That usually sends us right back into that limbic system, which is unfortunately a poor place. Okay, that's a lot of information, but basically what we want to do is remember that we're modeling for our children. We want to model healthy communication, but we also want to be able to model, if we don't have healthy communication, how to apologize and reconcile. And for sure, make sure your children know this isn't their fault. All right, that's it for today. John Hunsberger signing out.